NXT is over. Let's talk about it. First, we had a match between Birthright Uriah Connors and Channing Stacks Lorenzo and Los Americanos. This was a pretty good match overall. El Grande Americano ended up getting involved. The greatest luchador of all time, who is not Ludwig Kaiser. Speaking of which, I really hope he shows up on TV soon because he's been gone for like 2 years or something like that, or like a year. As per usual, Los Americanos used the loaded masks with the metal plate and was able to hit a flying headbutt on Uriah Connors, and they ended up getting the win with the help of El Grande Americano distracting the ref. And they are officially going on to NXT Stand and Deliver to go against the Vanity Project for the NXT Tag Team Championships. I don't think they're going to win, but I think this should be a pretty good match. Speaking of which, I will also be going over the full NXT Stand and Deliver match card later in the video, and I will be making a predictions video tomorrow, Thursday. Next, we had a match between Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan. Another good match. Not much to talk about here. Jada Parker ended up getting the win. Overall, I think this was the right decision. And I think Jada Parker should probably go after a title sometime soon. Next, we had a match between Jasper Troy and Keanu Carver, with Josh Briggs as the special guest referee. And the match ended with Keanu Carver getting the win with the help of Josh Briggs. And after they matched, they had this little lovey-dovey moment where they stared at each other, and then Keanu Carver got kicked in the face. And now, next week, it has been officially announced that it's going to be Jasper Troy versus Keanu Carver versus Josh Briggs. And that's going to be one meaty match. Overall, I felt this match was a little bit underwhelming. I feel like with the amount of meat we had, it could have been a bit more of a car crash. But it was on the shorter side, and I would have liked more physicality. Next, we had a face-off promo thing between Tatum Paxley and Blake Monroe. Blake Monroe obviously stealing Tatum Paxley's title a couple weeks ago and has been holding on to it. They cut a pretty solid promo where Tatum Paxley basically said, "You don't want to see the dark side of me," and this just made me mad because Tatum Paxley had so many times to just rock her in the back of the head and take the title back, but she didn't. The promo ended in a brawl, and Blake Monroe barely escaped with the title, and they announced their match at Stand and Deliver for the Women's North American Championship. Next, we had a number one contenders match for the Women's NXT Championship between Lola Vice and Kendall Gray. Another great match. Kendall Gray seems to have great matches all the time, and I thought it was a pretty foregone conclusion that Kendall Gray was going to win this. Lola Vice, very involved in AAA. She's the AAA Mixed Tag Team Champions with Mr. Iguana. Kendall Gray recently, I believe, vacated her Evolve Championship and got called up to NXT officially. And I figured a monster push was in line for her, just like with Obafemi. Like, not as big of a push, but similar to Obafemi, she vacated the title and then got called up. And I figured she was definitely going to win this and likely go win the NXT Women's Championship, but that did not happen. It, for some reason, ended in a DQ where Lola Vice pinned Kendall Gray at the same time as she tapped out, which I'll give them props for a creative ending, but I would have liked to see a winner here, specifically Kendall Gray. I think she's very deserving of becoming the next women's NXT champion. I think she's a future star, and I don't know if they're going to do a triple threat now. That's probably what's going to happen, but I would have liked to see a clean winner here. NXT Stand and Deliver is just 3 days away. We're going to preview it. I'm also going to be making a video. I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to be making a video tomorrow on Thursday making predictions for this NXT Stand and Deliver match card, who I think should win and will win, and my predictions. So, Sexy Red is going to return to WWE at Stand and Deliver. Why? I'm not sure, but okay. I don't know if she's going to get involved physically or if she's going to be a commentator or what. It's not really announced, but either way, she's going to be there, and yeah. In the pre-show, we actually have a match, which I like. They should do that for WrestleMania and all the other premium live events, just saying, on the main roster and on NXT, honestly. But it's a 10-person tag team match, mixed tag team match between Hank and Tank, Eli Knight, yeah, Shiloh Hill and Ren Sinclair versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo, Ariana Grace, Lexis King, Uriah Connors, and Charlie Dempsey. I like that they're adding a match to the pre-show, and it should be a fun match. Next, we have Tatum Paxley versus Blake Monroe for the Women's NXT Championship. I think Tatum Paxley should win here, although I don't think there is really a wrong answer. Tatum Paxley has not had the title for very long and has very few defenses. I think, honestly, Blake Monroe should just get called up. However, Tatum Paxley is definitely ready to be called up too, but Blake Monroe has been ready to get called up since day one. Obviously an established star, main eventer in AEW. I think Tatum Paxley should win here. Next, we have a match between Miles Bourne and Johnny Gargano. Now, this is interesting. I feel like there's a possibility of Candice LeRae turning on Johnny Gargano here. Do we see Johnny wrestling? Lots of questions that I feel like need to be answered. And I'll go more in depth to each of these matches, but more specifically this match in my predictions video. Los Americanos versus the Vanity Project for the NXT Tag Team Championships. It's going to be a fun match. Next, Zarya versus Sol Ruca. I think the build to this has been pretty underwhelming. I feel like they had this could have been the feud going into Stand and Deliver. I almost said WrestleMania there, but I feel like it was such an underwhelming build. I feel like they could have done so much more with this. I feel like it could have been more violent, more bloody, and I really would have liked to see them pull out a Hell in a Cell match or at least some kind of stipulation for this, but they didn't. So, a pretty underwhelming build, but I'm still very excited for this match because it is two of my favorite stars in NXT. And last but certainly not least, we have a fatal four-way match for the NXT Championship between Joe Hendry, Tony D'Angelo, Ricky Saints, and Ethan Page. This is another one where I really think anybody can win. All of them are main roster ready. So, I don't know. I think Joe Hendry will likely lose it here, though. Just not sure who to. That's going to be it, though, for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of NXT and if you're excited for NXT Stand and Deliver. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want, and bye.